So I was just pointing to the microphone, and apparently people like to call you Mike. Apparently, so you look like a Mike.
Yes.
I guess that's how these things work nowadays. Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out here. And well, this is kind of funny. So today has been a day where me and Lane talked this morning, and he said to me, "We're like, well, we can get together. Let's do some recording. Let's make some videos." But we didn't really know what to talk about because a lot of our factions weren't really. We didn't have a lot for our factions. Thought about talking about Marines from the aspect of both the Marine player and the Xenos. And then right as soon as I said the message to him, boom, all the data sheets dropped for all the different Marine factions. So we're like, all right, cool, we'll do that. And so we started talking about Death Watch, and an hour and a half later, we finished that video up, and at the end, Lane cuts me off and says, DJ, you'll have plenty of time to talk about Grey Knights later. I'm like, yeah, we aren't going to see anything till the end of the week. And I look at my phone, and sure enough, thank you, Reddit, we have a couple little spoilers, and I got to talk about these. So, guys, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're getting real close to that 1,000. Been creeping up on that lately, and 40K is about to get real hot and heavy, and it's about to get hot and heavy with some Grey Knights here soon. So I want to touch base and go over what we know from Grey Knights real quick, and just see if there's anything that pops out with some of the new stuff that we've seen. Because now, looking back at some of the older stuff, it's like, oh, that's what this means.
I think that's the rule for this army, is that it pops out.
It really does. It really does. This is a cup game. This is the cup game where it's like, all right,
a Grey Knight.
Whack-a-mole Grey Knight edition.
No, it's here.
And what we've seen so far, Grey Knights are super fast, super mobile. We're going to be very strong for missions, not on the damage. And that's what it seems like it's going to be the trend, not on the damage. And there's going to be a couple things I'm going to say multiple times, is because things are psychic weapons. I think when we see the stratagems, there's going to be stratagems that are going to affect psychic weapons to be able to give us that boosted AP. But once again, being a stratagem, being centralized, being focused means that this army is going to have to focus down specific targets on their movement on the way to glory. So the Grey Knights, as we said, popping up. The biggest thing is their Grey Knight teleport assault rule. So based on your battle size, you pick up to X amount of units. Since we're probably going to be playing most of 2,000-point games, I'm going to pick 3 units. You get to pick 3 units, and at the end of your opponent's fight phase, right? The Grey Knights unit at the end, if your army faction is Grey Knights, at the end of your opponent's turn, so just end of their turn, you pick those units that are not in engagement range and take them off the board. Then during your next reinforcement step, you put them down 9 inches away, so basically deep strike them back down onto the field. What is super critical about this is in the previous edition with Grey Knights, it was very hard to get this mobility because it costs you a lot of command points for shunt move or psychic power, and then command points for the psychic power to make sure it goes off, etc., etc., etc. This is just, I'm going to pick up, I'm going to put them down. Pick up, I'm going to put them down. 3
redeploys every single turn. 3 redeploys at the start of the game is powerful. Then you got 3 redeploys at the end of every opponent's turn. It's bonkers. I don't like it.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I really do think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think that this is going to, I talked a lot about the return of Death Stars. I think this is where we're going to see the return of Death Stars, with being able to really super pump a couple of units and be able to rush them around field. Now, that's not to be said that there is going to be little 5-man squads that you can also utilize this with just for better positioning later into the game. So the ability is super strong. Ability is amazing. You know, we've seen them be on top tiers of many, many lists that these guys are going to be awesome right out the gate.
And this is anything with the deep strike keyword.
Which is literally...
No, any number of Grey Knight units.
Yep. So,
Dreadnoughts, Land Raiders, whatever's.
Well, okay, so the
servitors, if you need to get those servitors into position.
So the kicker, I think, is going to be that we see things with, like you just said, servitors. Servitors, maybe not, because I've seen them have the Grey Knight keyword. Some of the stuff like the Land Raider, the Storm Raven, and things like that may not actually have the Grey Knight faction keyword and may be pulled from Adeptus. They may be pulled from Adeptus Astartes. There might be.
But if it's in the Grey Knight army, it's going to have the Grey Knight keyword because you can't mix keywords. So I think you're okay.
Might be.
I think it's literally anything.
Yeah, it doesn't say infantry. It just says number of Grey Knight units from your army with this ability. Okay, so the ability does have to have teleport assault. So the Land Raider might not have.
Oh, right. Teleport. It has to have the teleport assault ability. It's like a keyword almost.
I'm still dreaming tonight about teleporting Land Raiders.
Yeah.
So, anyways, though, moving down to it, we get to Deep Strike. Talks about Deep Strike. Deep Strike is Deep Strike. You pick the unit up, or you put a unit down from reserve 9 inches away. That is Deep Strike.
You still have to make that 9-inch charge, though. Nothing you can do about that.
Is there? Or is there?
I'm certain there's nothing you can do.
There is nothing that Grey Knights will have to ever be able to charge better. Especially out of Deep Strike. Who would do that? That's just silly.
Ridiculous.
We got Teleport Shunt. Each time a Grey Knight unit with the Deep Strike ability advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, until the end of that phase, add 6 to the move characteristic, and that unit can fly. So, yeah.
That means flying Terminators. If the Terminators have the Deep Strike ability, you can fly your Terminators?
You have Terminators with...
Not fair.
So if somehow you could advance and charge, the unit would have fly, and therefore could charge a Storm Raven.
No, because it's only until the end of the move phase. Sorry, but it's not the charge phase.
Oh, okay, fair enough. No,
but still, I mean,
have Terminators soaring up in the sky to punch a Storm Raven. Nope, not gonna happen.
But this, if your Nemesis Dread Knights have Deep Strike, then if they advance during their movement, they can Kool-Aid Man through walls.
Yep.
I don't know if they have any ability to advance and shoot or advance and fight.
Or assault
weapons
yet. Or assault weapons.
Yeah, but
we'll look at that because the Dread Knight was one that's previewed. We also have the Nemesis, the Grandmaster in here. And then we go down to the Purge Squad. The one thing I want to say, there's 2 things I just want to cover with the Purge Squad in here, which we still see. First of all, being the fact that we're Grey Knights and we are not Space Marines. We are not Adeptus Astartes. And we weren't released with everyone else's data sheets and stuff like that. So I guess we're not cool enough to be Marines. Which I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I don't want to be a Marine. I'm going to be a Grey Knight. As you can see, I want to be a Grey Knight.
You're a little silver snowflake, aren't you?
I'm a happy little silver man. Anyway, so you look at the Purge Squad. The couple things to notice is 1, the 2-up save. That's critical. That's going to be cool. I think that's going to be seen around the board. And we're looking at one of the data sheets thing. I think that's guaranteed that basically 2-up save is the way we go with Grey Knights. And then we have Astral Aim. Astral Aim subclass edition. And since we don't get Desolation Marines, we don't get any artillery, there are artillery. What's cool about them is how they work, is how probably a lot more indirect units should work. So it's in your shooting phase, ranged weapons equipped with these models have indirect fire, provided the target of the weapon is visible to 1 or more friendly Grey Knight Psyker units. So you still have to deal with all of the normal indirect things, the -1 to hit, etc., and those things.
And they're always in cover.
Right.
The target's going to be considered covered. Yeah.
But and you only get the indirect if another unit can see it, so a spotter unit for it, provided the target of the weapon is visible for 1 or more Grey Knight units. But you don't also have to be visible to the Purge Squad, to these guys, the Purge Squad. So someone else has to be able to just see that unit, and it's like brainwaves that you can shoot in there. So this is our artillery. Side cannons are coming in at strength 8, -1 for flat 2 damage. That AP1 is kind of deterring, but again, I think that is going to be where we're going to see a stratagem that affects psychic weapons, because side cannon, silencer, and incinerator all have silence. I'm sorry, the incinerator is not a psychic weapon. Silencer and side cannon are both psychic weapons. There will probably be a strat that'll be able to increase the AP for those at least, but again, it'll be 1 unit, so it's not going to be too overpowered. The strength 8, that's nice to see. Okay, that's good. 2 damage, cool. Not heavy, sad. Would love to see the heavy to be able to get the boosted hit, but okay, can't have it all. Sustained hits on the silencer, meh. Again, Grey Knights don't have the heaviest of damage output outside of combat. In combat, they're mean. I mean, the Nemesis Force weapon, which is now the generic weapon, is strength 6, -2, flat 2 damage, 3 attacks apiece. That's nasty. That's pretty good. Nasty. But again, that is not the damage is where we kind of are looking at stuff. And then we go down to the Nemesis Grandmaster, who he has once per battle round in the fight phase, 1 model in your army with this ability could use it before resolving any attacks. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time that model makes an attack targeting a monster or vehicle unit, you can reroll the hit, you can reroll the wound, and you can reroll 1 damage result. Grandmaster gets a Demon Hammer. I mean, that's what that ability reads to me is take Grandmaster, take Demon Hammer. You're looking at needing 4s to hit, but you're re-rolling the hits. Strength 14, so you're going to be 3s on some of the bigger targets, re-rolling the wounds, and then you get to re-roll the damage for it as well.
I mean, damage is D6 +1 on the hammer, so.
Could you disagree with me on that one? It almost seems like I do see some value behind that sword. I do see a value behind the sword because now...
Well, just because you have the sweep profile if you're bogged down by a horde army.
And even with this going... Well, this one is specifically that attack has to be made against monster or vehicle to get those rerolls. But still, I mean, that strength 10, -2, that's still a heavy hit. And that's a D6, and you're getting to reroll that. And now you're hitting on 3, so a little better accuracy. So I can still see the sword having good value, especially like you did say, because the sweep doubles back. What if there's no monster or vehicle? Dreadfists suck. Dreadfist is terrible. Dreadfist is just absolutely trash.
Only AP1.
Yeah. Strength 6.
Yeah.
3 or 6 attacks. Meh.
No, I mean, it's probably free with a...
Most likely.
Yeah.
Objective control 4 on the Grandmaster. Each time you target this model with a stratagem, it only costs 1 CP to use, even if the CP cost was higher. To me, that means that one scares me a little bit, because that means I think a lot of the Grey Knight stratagems are going to cost 2 command points. Like the ones that buff the AP and stuff like that. And last edition with Cybolt ammunition, that was something we saw. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Mr. Grandmaster Dreadnought? I think he's gotten significantly
Yeah,
weaker.
I mean, part of the deal before was that he always seemed kind of squishy. The Dread Knights seemed like they were relatively easy to kill. He's still got a 4-up invuln, which is good, and still got the 2-up save. So with a reduced AP on everything, he's a little more durable. He's only toughness 8, which isn't really amazing for vehicles now.
No, not really, and an 8-inch move too. Granted, we got that advanced now, as we can see with his weapon data sheet. None of the weapons have assault on it.
Yeah.
I feel like because of that teleport shunt and the
yeah, he does have the teleport assault,
yes,
so
he can pick up, which is nice. That's going to be big for these slower moving.
I mean,
guys.
that's huge for your indirect fire purgation squad, because you can the teleport assault lets you to put models somewhere. So if any unit can see that unit, then your purgation squad can indirect fire into it.
I'm glad I've been playing these guys since like 5th, 6th edition, so I have all the side cannons. I need to paint some of them, but at least I have all the side cannons. Like I have enough, as if anyone's seen on the channel, I can run some side cannons. So I have enough for those purge, and that might be honestly right off day one. It might be okay. I'm going to take three 5-man purge, and now let's move into everything else. Just because that's units that I can have in the back and hide in corners. That's just constant threat of fire. Because what's the range on it? Probably 24 still on the side cannons. Yeah, 24 on the side cannons. It's still pretty decent. But what I'm looking at is if I advance with this unit to get the fly, to get around the building, can I somehow still shoot or charge with the guns? And I think it's going to come into 1, maybe enhancements, 2, maybe a stratagem. But I think Grandmaster Dreadnought might not be as much of an auto-clued with all the Dreadknights as it's been in the previous. We'll see. The teleport assault is still as strong. Purifying Flame on the intercess on the purifiers. The only thing that's really cool about this is because it's a psychic shooting attack and it's anti-infantry 2+, so it will wound on 2s. Each one of these guys get a shot with it. So it's 1 shot, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, AP 1 damage. Not the most devastating hit. It does ignore cover. Okay, cool. Purifying Flame in the past was a little more damaging. I think this is kind of underwhelming, even on the anti-infantry 2-up.
Well, I assume it's going to be in addition to your Stormbolter.
It is probably going to be.
And Purifying Flame, they just say Purifying Flame on this. They don't really tell us, but I assume that every model, because it's only 1 damage, 1 shot, every model in the unit would get it. So in addition to your Stormbolter, you got this extra anti-infantry 2-up thing.
It's the AP 1 that bothers me the most.
Yeah, well, at least it ignores cover too. So
it does.
It puts 3-up guys.
And cover is going to be all over the place now, especially with how easy it is to get cover. We do get to see 1 stratagem, and that stratagem is a 2 CP stratagem. And this one is 1 Grey Knight unit from your army that is arriving from Deep Strike or Teleport Assault ability. They use it on them. And that unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 12 inches. Yeah. Lone operative on Dread Knight. that Grandmaster.
Yeah, it's only one CP for him.
Yeah. And now he's able to be a little bit further back and put down some fire with the side cannon and the silencer.
Also, the name of the strat is Haloed in Soulfire. You get to say that every time you use the strat.
That's fun. I got lots of those. So, okay, so we got one more strat. I'm sorry. So, Radiant Strike, which makes me wonder now, since like Marines have like 12 strats available for if they play in the sub armies.
No.
You're not allowed to use those strats?
I don't think so. Well, especially because the base Space Marine strats, a lot of them have to do with the combat doctrines, which I don't get. So, like, you get combat doctrines for extra stuff. So I don't think the separate chapters get to use the same strats at the base Marine.
Well, there might be one or two that you do get to use for
because they specifically listed Armor of Contempt in the Death Watch strats, which is a basic Space Marine strat. So I don't think
that's true. Yeah, that is true. That like a lot of the Space Marine strats are like you have Armor of Contempt. Everyone has Armor of Contempt.
Yeah.
But we do have like only Adeptus Zudien, which targets Adeptus Astartes unit from your army. So some of these do.
It's if you are using the Gladius Task Force attachment.
There you go. Yep. Okay, cool.
These are Gladius Task Force.
Okay, so if you guys didn't know and you didn't catch that, we just looked over real quick and you do see the Gladius Strike Force detachment. Yeah, so you don't get those strats. So the
Space Marine subchapters only get their subchapters strats.
Now, here is where we get into where we talk about damage. So here we go again, 2 command points. You use this in the fight phase and you target a Grey Knight Psyker unit from your army. Man, that means I gotta take Psykers.
Right.
That's gonna be tough. Until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped in the unit with the psychic ability also have devastating wounds. I mean, it's devastating wounds. Sixes. So it's just a matter of anything that has. I don't think we have anything in combat right now that has anti yet.
Yeah.
That we've seen. But we have 5 little data sheets to look at. And now we keep that in mind to look at. It is a 2 CP strat. So Grandmaster, 1. But we're looking at other things. We want to see other guys that have that ability because that's something we want to see in mass. So we want to see that on an infantry squad. All right. So we touched base on all the original stuff. Let's go into the juicy meat and potatoes of this all. So on Reddit, the internet shows us the brand new data sheets. Now we only get the front cards for these 5 units. And some of them, one of which I'm sad. I'm sad for Voldus. I don't feel like he is really going to be that playable. And other ones are interesting. So these are a little tough to see because they're coming off of Reddit. They're not the best pictures. So the first one we're going to talk about is the regular Nemesis Dread Knight, scathing over into there. The weapons are the same. Weapons didn't change. The weapons and guns are the same. The fist is the same number of attacks, same for the hammer, same for everything else. 4 up in Vuln, same stats even, like 13 wounds, toughness 8, 2 up save, 4 up in Vuln, all that stuff's the same. The only thing that's different is not all the Grandmaster abilities, and instead we get 1 psychic power. And this psychic power is, like we see psychic powers nowadays, they just happen. And this model is eligible to declare a charge in a turn which it advances or falls back.
Shoot and declare a charge.
So
they can, if they advance, they Kool-Aid Man through the wall, and then they can shoot and charge. Nemesis Dread Knights are going to be running through walls.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So he's got a move of 8.
Grandmaster can't do that, but he can. So they can shunt. They can go bam. So 8 plus 6, so 14. So you go 14 inches.
Let's go. Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay, so Dread Knights. So I retract that. Dread Knights have some play now. See, and this is a good thing we look back over.
That's so much fun. They're just going to run right through walls.
Yes.
And charge, shoot and charge.
Yes. After a 6-inch auto advance, that's a 14-inch threat.
14-inch move.
And just
you fly.
Okay, so Dread Knights are still going to be fighting.
I hate it, but I love it.
Right. Right.
I can't wait till you do this.
So now we'll go on to the other side of the spectrum. Let's go over the infantry. So one of the staples in 9th edition, 100% was Interceptors. Interceptors did so much work. They were so beautiful. The Interceptors have the same stat line as the Purge. So once again, this is where we're seeing the 2-up save. That's going to happen. So it looks like all the infantry, all your power armor is gone. We are in Artificer armor or something similar. So we got 2-up saves. These guys do have the fly keyword. Amazingly, we finally got the fly keyword after the past two editions. We didn't have fly. We had all the rules for fly except fly and personal teleporter.
It is only one OC though for these guys.
Yeah, they're fast. They were typically fast attacking force. So I'm not surprised with that. They have personal teleporters, which this is in the shooting phase. When this unit has shot, it can then, and it is not in engagement range, it can then immediately move 6 inches as if it were the movement phase. So they have fly. This is hit and run. This is what works nice for Eldar. Eldar love it. We jump out from behind a wall, shoot, fall back behind the wall, or go over to an objective marker.
Yeah, but Eldar 9th edition had to roll a d6. You just move up to 6 inches.
I just do it. And also that's every
It's not your full 12-inch move, but it's a 6-inch.
And that's every unit. That's not a psychic power. I don't have to do anything. Like you said, I just do it. So every interceptor squad can do that.
Oh, I hate it.
So 3 squads of interceptors can just go, hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye. And when we talk about things like the with the teleport assault, pick everything up. I'm going to start my first list name is going to be John Cena. You can't see me because that's what we're doing with half of these guys. I mean, that's really, really what I see going on. All right, so 2 more days shoot. So let's go over to Voldus. So Voldus previously, he could only be taken in a specific brotherhood. So that means he didn't really see play unless you're playing that brotherhood, which that brotherhood was not one of the most competitive. So he didn't see play there. His hammer is, he hits on a 2-up with his hammer, which is nice. Strength 10, AP 2, 3 damage. Okay. Sanctuary. So the unit he's joining, now we don't see what units he can join, but I would place a safe bet that it's Terminator Paladin.
Yeah.
His psychic ability is Sanctuary. The unit he joins is -1 to hit them. Okay, that's cool. But as we're about to see a little bit later, that's pretty wimpy in comparison. Then he has the Hammer of Flame, which is also a psychic ability, which basically, realistically, it's each time it's a toned down smite in a sense. Each time this model's unit is selected to fight, you can select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of this model's unit and roll a d6, adding 2 to the result if that unit is a demon keyword. On a 4 through 5, the enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, and on a 6+, the enemy unit suffers d3 plus 3. So it is a super toned down smite. First of all, you have to be in engagement range.
Yeah, it's a 1-inch smite.
Mm-hmm. First, you got to be within engagement range, and then you have to roll that dice. Now, one thing that is interesting here that I'm going to bring up over here is we're going to go back over and talk about, some of the anti-demon stuff that I see in some of these units that we have. And what's cool is how they did this effect, and I like this. So when you go in against demons, you can do better, but it doesn't make your abilities not work. And I like that because we are the demon hunters. Where do we have our perks when we are going against demons that don't roll? I have always been an advocate of just saying an ability that an army needs to have is I pick one of your units and that unit is a demon. And then they get a 5-up. They get a 5-up invulnerable save and all that jazz. But against that unit, I get all my demon perks to be able to use against it. But now I give you a 5-up invulnerable save in exchange. I thought that could be something to be tweaked off of, something to be worked off of. Here, I like this. Again, we have weapons that have anti-demon. And we're going to see that with a couple of weapons over the course of the Grey Knights to show that. Voldus is not one of them. We'll get to that shortly. Brotherhood Terminators. So there is actually a lot to be taken for the Brotherhood Terminators that we learned. First of all, we are OC2. We still have 3 wounds. We're a 2-up save. We got the toughness 5. We are T5.
I think regular Space Marine Terminators are OC1 too. So that's actually better than regular Space Marines.
Yes, and traditionally, Grey Knight Terminators, the Terminators, not Paladins, just Terminators. They were
considered their voice of troops.
Correct, and they had objective. So this is our way of seeing it. Still on that too. Leadership 6 is nice, 3 wounds, toughness 5, 2-up save. One thing that's funny is I'm not even bothering to look at the Grey Knight move characteristic except for the interceptors, really, because I'm just like, oh, I can just bounce around the field. What do I need movement phase for?
Walk.
Who needs a movement phase? Again, this is okay. So I'm getting a little scared with this because this is now another time we see melee weapons, Nemesis Force weapon, and I had thought we were just going to see a point in the Demon Hammers actually still be part of the army. I think Demon Hammers might be gone. Like, it's starting to look like more and more and more like they went through a nice middle where Nemesis Force weapons are just, oh wow, 4 attacks. Whew. Terminators have 4 attacks now on the base. So 4 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. I love that profile. I love the fact that we're moving all the weapons over there. I thought that hammers were still going to be a hammer.
Yeah, I mean, they've done this with a lot of other armories. They've consolidated things. So the bad news is that there's not as much distinction between the different weapons. The good news is you don't have to tear the arms off your models and swap out weapons. Just any close combat weapon they have is just a Nemesis Force weapon. Same thing with the Death Watch, whether it's a Combi Melta, Combi Plasma, Storm Bolter. It's all just a long visual range weapon.
Now, one thing that we did see with the Death Watch, so I'm still going to hold out hope for, is there was a lot of Death Watch units that the weapon that they were allowed to take was not on the data sheet. And there was an entry later on that would have that weapon on the data sheet. Not a bunch, but enough to take note. For example, Terminators, your assault cannons and stuff like that, the weapon was not above. So because we only see the front of the card, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed, but this is like a hope and a prayer that maybe you can still take a Demon Hammer and the Demon Hammer might be off to the side. But with how little information is on there, I mean, there's really no reason the Demon Hammer couldn't be under the melee profile, unless it doesn't exist. And that's the
I hate to break your heart, but I don't think it exists.
You're not the one breaking my heart, Reddit's breaking my heart.
Wait till the Codex. Maybe they'll get it back in the Codex.
So what we're looking at is we have a couple of things. Before we get to Psychic Power, here's some other interesting thing. Ancient Banner. So Banner's no longer a character. It appears. Kind of saw that with Dark Angels. Dark Angels having the same abilities.
Custodians is the same way. I think their banners now are part of their units.
As well as the Nartheseum, which means that the command phase, I can return a model that isn't a character. So Apothecary, and Banner looks like going back in the squad. Banner is really cool.
I wonder if we don't have the back of the card, but I'm assuming they swap out something, either their ranged weapon or their combat weapon.
Banner
take one of those.
Banner typically swaps out the Banner can take. You take the Banner, and you can take a single falchion, so you might still get the Nemesis weapon. Actually, you might not. With them switching over with how they're doing the Force weapons, you may not lose anything because they don't have
the Storm Bolter is wrist mounted anyway. So
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it because it typically was before that you could take one single falchion, but you couldn't take the combo. So you had the 1 damage weapon, and they don't have a close combat weapon on here. So you actually might not lose anything for taking the Banner. Now, the Apothecary loses the gun because he gains the little So that's going to be that's it. But you get probably 10 guys. 2 of them get sacrificed to these abilities. You still have everything else. The Banner is really, really pretty. Being able to give you, it adds 1 to the objective control characteristics of models in the unit. This again is one of those abilities. We've seen a couple of these. So you battle shock my unit, they drop to OC 0. The Banner triggers. I'm OC 1. Yay, I hold an objective still. I think that's just for the fact of how much things cost in that sense to be able to not like units that armies that can have more units, etc. versus this. I think that's pretty much just one of those. We're big and expensive, and here, so you don't just lose the game on a random dice roll. Play the game. Also, they have a Psychic Power. Psychic Power is fair. Want to see what else it stacks with? Yeah, it's Hammerhand, and each time a model in this unit makes a charge move, until the end of that turn, melee weapons equipped to models in this unit have lethal hits. We don't have a lot of ways to take out tanks. At least we can get through that.
Yeah. I mean, your close combat weapon is the only thing that's AP better than AP 1. Your bolters are AP nothing. And
4 attacks.
Yeah, I mean, a squad of 10 of these guys who get 40 attacks in combat, you're going to get some 6s to hit off of 40 dice. So you should get 6 of them. So at least get 6 wounds off the initial, just the hit rolls.
And then 2 damage apiece.
Yeah.
So if we get those 6 through and they actually, the AP2 get through, that's 12 damage right there. That's almost a vehicle. So, but again, that's charging. And so it looks like, I mean, close combat weapons, looks like I need some way to boost my charge.
You need to get into combat.
Whatever could Grey Knights have to help us get into combat? I mean, you know, maybe a strat, maybe a psychic power. How about Lord Calidor Drago? I love it. Drago has been a staple that I have used since day one in every single army. And it looks like with this data sheet, that is going to continue true. Let's start with the weak part of it.
Sorry,
you taking the minute at this. So Drago, read it. This is Lord Calidor Drago comes in with the 2-up save. He's got a 4-up invuln, so no more 3-up invuln for his big boosted shield, but that's okay. He's got a wounds of 7.
That's pretty good wounds on a character right now.
Toughness 5. He has a psychic power called the Scouring. So this is one of the anti-demon weapons. So this is kind of cool. So it's a psychic power. It's a shooting attack. It ignores cover and psychic. It's at 3 shots, 18-inch range, ballistic skill 2, strength 6, AP2, 2 damage. Now, since it's anti-demon 2, that means I hit a demon with it. I need a 2 or better to wound for that critical wound to be able to do the damage. Against everything else, it can still be used as strength 6.
Yeah, still strength 6.
Right. I like that. I like that this kind of that attention to the demon factor of this. The Stormbolters, all the Stormbolters went down. I think this is, again, with all the reduction of killing in the game. Drago's Stormbolter last edition was 4 AP 1 and 2 damage. Now it's 4 AP 0, 1 damage. That's fine. Drago doesn't need a Super Bolter. He's got the Titan Sword, which is anti-demon 2-up again. So when you're hitting the demons, awesome. Everything else, he's got 6 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 8, AP 4, 3 damage.
That's good.
That is brutal. But wait, there's more. We haven't even opened this can of worms yet. He has Deep Strike. He's leader. He has Teleport Assault. We don't know what he's going to be joining yet. My guess is Terminators or Paladins. And, you know, he has this ability called, first ability we'll go with is Untouchable Purity. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 4-up against mortal wounds. Against just mortal wounds. So not psychic wounds specifically, just mortal wounds. So there is a lot of things out there kicking out mortal wounds.
Yeah, I mean, psychic stuff is still going to have AP, and you're still Terminators, so you're still going to
as we saw with Death Watch, you have the ability to jump into the devastating wounds column on some pretty nice stuff with your vigil, the long vigil. So being able to have a 4-up Feel No Pain versus mortal wounds, I'll take it.
Yep.
There's also I don't know if there's going to be any other Feel No Pains, but well, it's a good start. Especially, you know, I mean, he's got this one other ability. One with the Warp, Psychic Power. Now, at first I was disappointed that I didn't see Gate of Infinity on his data sheet. And I'm going to quit my complaining.
Because you already get 3 free gates of turns.
Right. And I also get this. Once per battle. It's only one time. Once per battle, when this model's unit declares a charge, if it is the same turn that it was set up as reinforcements using the Deep Strike ability, add 3 to the charge roll.
3.
So 6-inch charge out of Deep Strike?
That sounds really strong.
I don't even know what to say. I accept Drago Wing returns. Back in the day, one of our Death Stars that we saw was Drago leading a squad of Paladins. Very simple Death Star. Very, very simple. Maybe you would slap a Librarian on there for a little bit extra psychic powers, but the foremost of it was Drago leading the Paladins. We haven't seen Paladins yet. But Terminators look really good. I cannot imagine not seeing that the Terminators already look awesome. I can't imagine that the Paladins are not going to have insane stats in comparison, and just absolutely wreck, where you can just take that squad, pick that squad up. And the teleport assault is considered deep strike, I believe, isn't it? That teleport assault ability, our wonderful little teleport assault. Once you've been reinforcement, next turn movement phase, battlefield set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away. So I'm not.
It doesn't
sure
look like
actually,
it. Yeah, it doesn't look like the teleport strike. It looks like you're gonna have to be from true deep strike.
During the declare formation step, if every model in your unit has this ability, you can set it up and reserve battlefield. If you do reinforcement step and movement phase, you can set up this unit anywhere more than 9 inches away from all immediate. So it does seem like that the teleport assault is not a deep strike. Once you have made the selection, remove those units from the battlefield. In the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, set those models up anywhere on the battlefield 9 inches away. So you are setting up a 9 inches away. You're setting up like a deep strike. You're setting up like, but it doesn't seem like it is actually the deep strike.
Yeah.
So I just have to put Drago in his squad in reserve.
Yeah. Turn 2, deep strike, 6-inch charge. I mean, honestly, the 6-inch charge seems really good, but with CP being at such a premium, that reroll a charge from deep strike is way more expensive, really, in this economy than what it was before.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I've played against a lot of people that deep strike and charge, and they throw that CP reroll on the charge because 9 inches is hard to make. If you fail that charge, spend that 1 CP to re-roll it is a lot more expensive now in terms of CPs have become much more valuable. But
and we haven't seen anything yet that generates command points out of here. We've seen a little bit of command point reduction, but it seems like the stratagems are expensive. We haven't seen anything that's giving us command points back. We still have Brotherhood Champion, Castle and Crow, which could be possible CP. I would say Brotherhood Champion more so. Grandmaster, Librarian. Haven't seen the Grey Knight Librarian. That's going to be a different data sheet because he's a different Librarian. So there's a couple things there. Tech Marine as well. I don't think Tech Marine is going to give command point. I would think, if anything, it's going to be the Librarian or the Brother Captain. Maybe the Brotherhood Champion. Maybe an enhancement.
Yeah, I mean, might have a captain rule similar to Space Marines where they can just use a strat for free.
I think that the Grey Knights will, because of a lot of the two command point strats, I think that the Grey Knights will be able to generate CP, but I think it's going to be at a sacrifice. It's not just going to be do this to generate CP. It's going to be like, you have to do this ability or, perform this, like similar to what we had with actions to be able to gain that command point. And it might be, you need to be near an objective with that character, which is not necessarily the most like the character must be leading a unit. If he is leading a unit, then in near an objective marker, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That means I'm putting Brotherhood Champion with a squad of Purge and put him behind a wall. I think 3 squads of Purge is going to be a must. I'll have my Dread Knights in there for you, so I can go Kool-Aid Man with it because I'm going to need that. Yeah,
I don't know how strong the Purge will be shooting through walls and stuff because it's still not. I mean, you're still going to get the benefit of
it's
fire.
Cover. It's similar to what the Desolation Marines are capable of doing. Not as much damage per se, higher strength, damage 2 on the side cannons. Realistically, like real quick. So, because now I'm thinking about this on the other side of it.
Yeah, it depends. Because I know with Marines, we have ways of essentially spotting for those units where we turn off the penalty to shooting, indirect, and turn off the penalty for the hit roll, and they can make it so it ignores cover. So I'm wondering if there'll be something that does that for you.
4 silencers, about 6 shots apiece, 24 shots indirect, 24-inch range.
Yeah, it'll definitely be useful if someone's used one of those small little squads to hold a hidden objective. Some 5-man unit of 1 wound elves or something, or Imperial Guard, something like that. It'll definitely keep your opponent honest for that sort of thing, where you can shoot them off. Even if it takes a couple turns, it'll keep them off it doesn't give them a free objective holder. Really.
Yep. I think that I might retort back off the side cannons fully. I think that the silencer might be a little more Strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, 3s to hit. So I'll need 4s when shooting it indirectly. And but it's just volume. It's just volume of shots. It's just that's 24 shots coming out of that squad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what guard mortars are D6 shots a piece. So you get 3. So you got 3D6 shots with 3 mortars. Or Desolation Marines, you got for 5 guys in comparison, you have 5 of the Castellan launcher, which are what, D3 shots a piece?
Mm-hmm.
So 5 D3 shots there. This is still more shots. Castellan's AP1, yes. Castellan can, and like you said, you can ignore all of those negatives, so you're still hitting at AP1 and ignoring cover all the way through, where I'm not, but 24 shots you can't see.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to points. And the nice thing is that your guys, if they're hidden with their 2-up armor and in cover, they're going to be super durable to any indirect fire shooting at them. They're going to still get good saves.
Yep, because it's so I'm not allowed to use cover versus AP 0. I'm already at a 2-up. But if you fire AP 1 at me, then I can still get cover and stay at my 2-up.
Mm-hmm.
That's brutal. That's raw.
Yep.
That's cool. All right. So, final thoughts?
I think I like that they are fast and durable, but they don't have that much AP and their damage would be low. If they were fast and durable and also hit really hard, that wouldn't be fun. But I think it's going to be interesting to play the game this way because you're going to be fast and durable. You can get on primaries. You can score. You can score well, but also you're not going to be able to damage your opponent that much, which I like that balance of. So I like the balance of it from what we've seen so far, and that you're going to be super annoying, but also not that deadly. Which I think it's a good well balanced army.
Outside of combat, they're pretty. They look pretty deadly in combat, but again, that's engagement range. That's really really close, and like in that sense, looking at the fact of being able to deep strike, shoot, and draw down lanes. With deep strike, charge, and rip things apart is not an option except for Drago at this point in time. Drago and his unit, Drago and his boys, which love it. But the AP is low. The AP is low until we see some strats, maybe side bolt ammunition, maybe some other little things in there. The librarian. Librarian, I think, gave sustained hits for Space Marines. So that's probably going to be maybe something similar, sustained, devastating, something like that. But yeah, I think this is going to be an army I'm going to take random cards on every time because I can draw and then go, okay, here's what I have. And now I'm going to put my units down and complete that action.
Yeah.
Do that stuff. And yeah, I don't like the Dread Knights do look that darn good. Again, I like the Dread Knights. I don't mind them. I'm not a Dread Knight hater. But number one, I don't see anything that says like the Grandmaster is not an epic hero. So there is absolutely nothing on this initial data sheet from stopping me from taking 3 Grandmaster Dread Knights and 3 Dread Knights, taking 6 Dread Knights in it. And I have a feeling that as much as we joke around with stuff with that Tyranids, that might actually be good. And that's, I want to see more from the infantry. A lot more from it. I mean, they do look weaker. The Grandmasters and stuff do look significantly weaker. And I mean, not the Dread. It's hard to say without the strats, but just I don't want to go into all Dread Knights again.
Well, you need to take 3 of the regular ones because they can Kool-Aid Man, and that's what's going to be happening. That's what's what.
I mean, and that's brutal. That's brutal, especially because, like we said with that, they can advance and shoot normally. We were talking. I mean, that's just
they can advance and shoot and charge, and then they fly when they do it.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, these guys have an 8-inch move characteristic. No, they have a 14-inch move.
Yeah,
like there's really no purpose to ever not advance them.
There's no penalty to shooting, penalty to anything.
You gain fly.
Oh, it's so good.
You gain fly and move 6 inches. Like, is there ever a reason to not advance a Dread Knight? It's just, I'm going to move 14.
Yeah, there might be some strats or something that you can't use if something advanced. That would be the only thing I would think. Sometimes they say, if something advanced, then don't do that. But
yeah, each time it advance roll, do not roll until the end of the phase. Add 6 to the move characteristic, and that's it. 14-inch move on Dread Knights.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this, as this was our little take into Grey Knights already. I want to play my Necrons, but it's going to be hard to not play this juicy army.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it was Art of War did a faction ranking based on the previews and stuff. But they put Eldar and Grey Knights in S tier, just because that movement is so powerful. And in a game that now is going to be even more focused on how valuable primary is, getting on objectives is going to be even more important.
I was very proud of a lot of the armies some of the armies that I put together in 9th edition with Necrons, where I literally I didn't matter if I did any damage at all. Now, granted, some of that is trade to Necrons' overpowered secondaries, but it was all about movement. And Genestealer Call is an army that's all about movement. Grey Knights, it's going to be all about movement. And I'm loving that. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be covering more of this as we can, and more of this popping up. I think we got Chaos tomorrow. Hopefully see some Necrons this week. That one I'm looking forward to. That one's going to be, that's going to be fun. Doomstalker. I'm having my fingers crossed. Doomstalker is going to be good. I don't care if the Tezzeret Vault isn't good. I don't want to put that thing. I don't want to transport it. That's my whole reason. I'm hoping the Tezzeret Vault is not good, just so I don't have to figure out how to transport this working spider of thing.
Separate case just for that.
Oh man!
No, I want to see what my Votann look like, because I was not very happy with what they previewed. I'm hoping the strats look good, or some of the other data sheets too. Because so far, I'm really worried about the little babies.
We have seen a lot of other stuff go, okay, this makes sense.
Well, we can talk about it later. We've talked enough today, but they're definitely
segueing off. Watch, we're gonna stop this video, and all of a sudden it's gonna be Votann data cards.
Well, like I said, we've seen from Space Marines especially, every data sheet has some special rule, and some of them are crazy, super powerful. So a lot of times, what we lost in our army rules can be made up in our data sheet rules. So we'll see.
Yeah, and there is a lot of data sheet rules. It does kind of concern me as when we say a lot of data sheet rules, how many we're actually talking about, because it's a lot. So a lot of them are uniform across the board. We're seeing similarities, but then you look at something like Grey Knights and all the psychic powers and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I've yet to see a data sheet right now. Maybe it's one in Marines, but I've yet to see a data sheet that you deep strike and get +3 to your charge.
Yeah.
And granted, that's going to be a very powerful ability, but now this is what concerns me with this, and we'll leave on this note. So you just decided to start playing 40K. And one of the things that we're alleviating with this is the learning curve. So you go to a tournament, you think you understand the rules, everything like that. You're playing against me and my Grey Knights. We talk about it a bit. I go, okay, I'm going to deep. And I go through this stuff, and I'm like, oh, and I got the Draco Bomb. You know what the Draco Bomb does? Oh, yeah, I know what that does. Yeah, so you're deep striking that. Yeah. And then you miss the fact of that 3-inch +3 charge on the deep strike. Or I even say it to you, but it doesn't fully register. And then when you get hit by it the first time, then you remember what type of sour taste that's going to leave in some people's mouth, and the unknowing of it, where it's still almost turning into, it's like, yeah, all these rules are free, but do we got to sit down and study every single army?
I think everybody needs to develop questions that they ask at the beginning of every battle. For me, I would, in 9th edition with my Votann, I would ask, can you turn off Overwatch? Do you have any way of turning off Overwatch so I can't Overwatch you? I think we're going to have to come up with a new set of questions when we play, because we're not going to know everybody's rules. But so many armies now have ways to shoot back in their opponent's shooting phase. You need to ask that kind of overall question just so you have an idea. Do you have any deep strike charge shenanigans where you get +3 runs? That's the kind of thing we're going to have to be asking.
Can you run through walls and shoot?
Yeah. Kool-Aid Man?
Oh, yeah. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be talking to you again soon.